Well, so happy to welcome back into the program my business attorney, Brian King. And Brian also has a thought leader page at Augusta businessdaily.com. And I thought it'd be a good idea, since you've been practicing law now in the business field for 20 years, that you probably have some really neat success stories. And one involves the food and beverage industry, and I just have a question for you. There's an old adage: how do you make $1 million in the restaurant industry?
How is that?
Start with two. It's a tough business,
right.
Isn't it? Yeah. And I know you had a client years ago, and was a local restaurateur and had a couple locations, and ran into some challenges. And how'd you help him?
Yeah, so the client was wanting to expand his business and protect his brand as he grew into different locations, and so I filed a federal trademark application for him. And we received opposition from another company who had began using the same mark, but my client had begun using that mark first. So we challenged that opposition, and we had to litigate that before the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board to fight off that challenge. And then we won, and then my client was able to use the mark going forward. So he was very, very happy, and he was very concerned about the whole thing when we received the opposition. But because my client had used first, and we had to establish that, we had to prove that, then he was okay. So
that's interesting. How do you establish that you have a name before somebody else?
Well, the trademark rights largely stem from use of the mark and who used that mark first in commerce, and so we had to show signage and that we had used that mark in commerce, and so just basically by proof, evidence of the use.
Wow, that's interesting. We're continuing with Brian King, and his website is businessattorneylaw.com. For those who may be just starting out and they want to protect their name, I know obviously this was a special situation and you had to go to court, but in general, if you just want to kind of file a trademark and have you help them, is there a range of cost?
Yeah. I mean, I usually can tell when talking with the client, I can tell, kind of what it's going to involve and that sort of thing. And there's different kinds of trademarks. There's word marks or text marks, and then there's stylized design marks, which are, like a logo, for example. And so, I would say anywhere, you might be looking at a cost of anywhere, say $500 to $1,000, and that, and you've got the filing fees in there as well,
sure,
in that range. If we do what they call sort of like a tease application, where it's a $250 filing fee. So, and then each of those, logo, the name, all of those are separate marks, and so there's a separate filing fee for each.
Yeah.
One of those.
Why do you feel, Brian, having your brand or your name or your trademark protected is something that's important?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is very important, particularly, like I said, with that other client, looking to grow his business and expand to other locations. So, if someone else is using the mark in another location and you try to expand to that location, well, if they have used the mark first in that location, you can't just come in there and start using your mark in that location unless you have a federally protected trademark. Sure. If you filed and gotten approved as a registered trademark, then you can stop anyone in the United States from using that mark. And so, it's really just kind of a protection for your business, just like buying insurance or whatever. It's just part of doing business.
Okay.
And if you really want to protect yourself and be able to have your brand mean something, and then might as well take that step and get the federal trademark.
Oh, yeah. And, we're such a medical community in the CSRA, and there seems to be a lot of these sort of dock-in-a-boxes popping up. I mean, there's, golly, got to be half a dozen or 10 or so. And you help one of the companies as kind of like their almost in-house counsel, I guess, for a while.
That's right. Yeah, I actually worked as in-house counsel for about 2.5 years with a local healthcare company, and when I started there, they only had one location, and when I left there, they had 4.
Wow.
And so I helped manage the business and do the legal work as well.
Sure.
And we, grew these locations, opened these locations up, and then we also invested in some real estate to plan for future growth, in the coming years.
Right.
And so, it was really exciting to be able to work on the business and the legal issues that came up, and that's why I enjoyed working in-house. But I ultimately left there, but it's because I wanted to work with other businesses, not just the one.
Sure.
And because I like working with multiple different businesses and different types of businesses, because it's just challenging, mentally, it's interesting. And and so to help them grow and grow their businesses, whether it's by location or just by revenues, things like, increasing revenue streams for the business and stuff, if you basically being able to have, say, one location, but being able to bring in additional revenue streams for that location, and you're getting a kind of the most bang for your buck for that space that you have.
Yeah.
So
And I'd imagine too, in a situation like that, the legal and the HR worlds blend together.
Right.
And what was that experience like in-house that you can maybe take to companies that are needing your assistance now?
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, I had to deal directly with a lot of employees and with the management, because I was upper level management at that company as well. And so, I actually had to fire some people and that sort of thing, and deal with legal claims as well. Like when we had one lawsuit that we had to deal with, and we won that suit, and but dealing with HR, as as a business owner, is definitely something that anytime you have employees, you're going to have different issues come up, and I work with my clients to resolve those issues and hopefully before litigation. But and so I've got a lot of experience in that, working with that company and with lots of others. So.
Yeah, well, hey, congratulations again. 20 years is a big deal, being in the business attorney space, if you will.
Thank you.
And again, you're welcome. Again, Brian's website is businessattorneylaw.com, and perhaps in the future we'll learn about some other client success stories. He has many. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks as well as, again, to Get Up Productions for hosting us. And you can tell there's a lot of different ways you can learn about the podcast programs that they have. They even have some lessons learned, best case scenarios in terms of success stories that they've done. And please just go online and to AugustaPodcast.com is one way to get in touch with them.